Good morning. Today is Sunday, November 2nd, and you're watching the Viewscreen. I am your extra special host, Kristin Stratulat, here trying to fill Amy's very enigmatic shoes today.
And I'm not filling any shoes. I'm your boring, regular old host, Kelvin Wood. And remember, the Viewscreen is your weekly Star Trek magazine show, streaming live on YouTube. And we've got the news, features, our friends, and lots of love for our Star Trek family all around the world.
And thank you to those who are watching live. Be sure to say hi in the chat. It's nice knowing that you are out there.
And please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button to make sure you never miss an episode of the Viewscreen on YouTube. And remember, you can enjoy this show as a podcast if you prefer listening to us, if you're about on the move.
So, Kelvin,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really, really good. Yeah, so let's address the elephant in the room. Where is Miss Nelson today? She is out with her sister up in Mexico, or down in Mexico, I guess, geographically. So it is Wendy's birthday, and she sent us a lovely little picture here.
Oh my gosh.
On the beach with Wendy. So happy birthday, Sister Wendy.
I hope Mexico knows how lucky they are to have those two on their soil right now, especially for Dia de los Muertos. So happy Day of the Dead to everybody out there. Hope you connect with your ancestors today.
I must say, I do feel very, very special that we've got Queen of Spooky Season herself hosting the show today. It seems very on brand, Kristin, that for the Halloween weekend we've got you in the captain's chair.
Oh, well, thank you very much. That is an honor. This is my weekend. This is my holiday. It has always meant a lot to me. It means more and more when you read about the lore behind where Halloween comes from, but won't get too far into that. But no, this is an honor to be here today. So,
how has your Halloween weekend been? What have you been up to?
Busy, busy, busy. Had a Halloween party on the night of, and then Justin had a show last night. I am just exhausted, as is my liver.
So you needed the extra hour.
Oh, thank goodness for a good fallback time change. Yeah, not complaining.
Now I believe we've got a picture of your fancy dress. If you're okay with us to show the viewers, let's have a look. Wow! Just for the benefit of people who are listening, maybe you could give us a description of what your outfit is there, Kristin.
So I am one of my trying to do well for one of my role models, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Of course, her famous thing is to always be like thrown back on a couch and whatnot. So that is at the party we were at on Halloween. There were a lot of vintage furniture items, and I was like, this needs to happen. So yes.
Brilliant. Oh, wonderful.
And how about you? How was your Halloween weekend? Did you get up to any shenanigans?
I kind of did accidentally. We don't hugely go in for Halloween, strangely, me and James. It's not that we don't enjoy dressing up, but we just don't tend to go to Halloween parties for some strange reason. But we were offered free tickets to go and see Duran Duran from off of the 80s. And their show was a special 2-date only Halloween themed concert. So everything, all the visuals, they even did special Halloween versions of the music videos. They must have done it through AI to project. But I wouldn't say I was the biggest Duran Duran fan, but I know all of their songs. Obviously, they were so big in the 80s. So yeah, free tickets, me, James, a couple of people from work, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. It was great.
Excellent. What a great little unexpected treat to top off the weekends.
Absolutely. However, I must say, and this might cause great offense now to a lot of people, now that Halloween is done and it's kind of now, put back into storage for next year, we've done something today.
Stop it. Oh my God.
We've put the tree up.
I hope Justin doesn't see this because then he'll be like, well, Kelvin and James have their tree up.
Oh, really? Oh, would he be there with us?
Oh, absolutely he would be. If we could leave that tree up year round, he would be on board with it.
Yeah. I just think it just makes us happy. I mean, it's going to be up for 10 weeks now. It's, and it makes the home nicer, cozier. And it's one of those things that if it makes you happy, get it up, get it done.
Just do it. It's very true because when we get into like sort of the dark, gloomy weather that is quickly coming our way, it's nice to have that glow, right? There's a certain ambiance that a tree provides that I absolutely know what you're talking about. It just makes the cold okay.
Well, as we've just mentioned, the clocks have gone back in America and Canada. So we are now back to 8 hours apart. So the UK, we've returned to our 5 o'clock start on the show. So thank you and well done to any UK viewers who got the memo there. So yeah, what a show.
Yes. So coming up on today's show, what have we got?
Well, since you've stepped aside for the week, we've filled your special shoes with Christos is here with all of the news and trending. Hey, Christos.
Hey there.
And today we're also welcoming back Lex Rosa to the Viewscreen to catch up on what's going on with his show, Transformational Journeys.
Hey. And finally, this is our special sport and body and mind week. So we've got the sportiest gay I know. Ben is here to give us a rundown of sports in Star Trek. Hey, Ben. Okay, well, let's start then.
Let's head over to the newsroom with Christos and see what he has for us today.
We did not have time to make you a special jingle, so I'm afraid it's Kristin's jingle. You're having it.
Somebody just should have put his head over my head and just had it pop up on my body.
I mean, I don't think I quite have that wig, but it's getting there. It's getting there.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Really good, really good. Tell us about your Halloween.
I actually bopped up to LA for a very quick one night only, and I went to a party, and I had a little Trek adjacent encounter. It just so happened that Jerry Ryan was at the party I was at, and we got a nice little picture. But she was dressed up as Agnetha from ABBA, which for me, I'm a huge ABBA fan. So she was very excited that I knew who she was as far as who she was dressed up as. So that was pretty cool.
And of all the times to bump into one of your favorite Star Trek people and tell them you're a huge Star Trek fan, what were you wearing?
I was in Star Wars because I'm in Trek all the time. It's Halloween, right? You have to do something different. If I had just pulled out a Star Trek uniform, which I can at any time, I do that all the time, right? So it's Halloween. You got to go different. So I jumped IPs and I was a Jedi.
I think that's it, Kristin. I think what I was just saying about me and James don't dress up for Halloween, it's because we just put on a Star Trek uniform and we do that all year round.
You know what? That's fair. I like the idea that Star Trek is your baseline. So when it comes to Halloween, you don't do your baseline.
Yeah.
Right? You got to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I also didn't want the duty of trying to find someone to unzip me every time I needed to use the restroom or all that. So the Jedi outfit is just a little more comfortable and easier access, so to speak, and all those good things that you need, especially when you're flying solo for the evening.
Well, don't you have a scant?
I do, but then once again, we're in Star Trek land again.
Yeah, I'm just meaning like you wouldn't at least have to bother people to unzip you because you just
those are the easiest things. Yes,
right.
I love a good scant.
Oh, when you're wearing a scant, you don't have to bother anyone. There's volunteers everywhere.
That's very true.
Well, what's coming up in the news today, Christos? What have you got for us?
Well, let's see here. I have a little bit of This Week in Trek, a little bit of breaking news, and I'm going to do a little bit of an upcoming books review. There's about 3 or 4, I can't remember, major novels, one coming as soon as December, and several coming in the new year. And I think they're all kind of built around this idea of trying to throw out content for the 60th. So so we're going to talk about some of those upcoming novels and when you can expect to grab them.
Brilliant. Well, let's get your slides going.
Yeah. Oh,
not those ones.
Ooh,
That's the preview.
That's a different slide bank. Oh, there we are. Oh, yeah. So there's me and Jerry.
Just rubbing it in.
Yeah,
No big
very
deal.
cash. I know. I like how muscular I look in that. Speaking of our sports episode here, I was like, I feel like my little Jedi robe is pretty nice now. So, okay, we can go to the next one. All right. So this week in Trek, I went deep because there is a lot this week in Trek, right? So in the classic era of Trek, we had this, and I think I chose the dates like October 27th through November 2nd. So it's very short, but lots of premieres, especially from the good old TNG era. So in our classic area, we had Cat's Paw, which I believe is like more of a Halloween episode, if I remember correctly. So I think that must have been intentional from Star Trek back in the 60s. Day of the Dove, and from the animated series, The Magics of Magus. So TNG, Voyager, DS9, Enterprise. This is more what I can remember. In no particular order, we had The Game, which is a fun one. Booby Trap, which is a little scary episode. Favor of the Bold, Rejoined from DS9. Treachery, Faith, and the Great River from DS9 as well. Persistence of Vision from Voyager. And so I called out Extreme Risk because it would also be Happy Birthday to the Delta Flyer. So since that's the episode, we got the Delta Flyer in. So, yeah. So, and the Andorian Incident from Enterprise, which I really enjoy. And then from our Paramount era, we're always at most of those shows now are streaming in the spring and in the summer, but we had Discoveries, People of Earth. We had Prodigy's Lost and Found, which actually is Happy Birthday to Prodigy, premiered 4 years ago on this week.
Wow.
Stars at Night from Lower Decks, and Old Friends and New Planets from Lower Decks. So lots of episode birthdays this week.
Brilliant. Do you find it when you see the episode titles of the new Trek and like you really having to focus what happened in that episode? Like we look at The Game, Rejoined, we know it, but like sometimes with these new Trek, you really having to think, what was that one?
Yeah, that is beyond the truth. I mean, even like now, I'm like, okay, that's season 3. Okay, episode 3. Okay, kind of doing the math, trying to take yourself through the story. What happened in that episode?
Also,
Brilliant.
How is Prodigy already 4 years old?
I know.
That kind of is blowing my mind, considering it just feels so much newer than 4 years old. That just kind of hurts my brain.
Yeah, I think it's just a testament to how fast we perceive time now. I think with technology and the world the way it is, I personally feel like this has been the fastest year of my life, like as far as how fast this year has been moving.
It's funny, when I used to work with seniors, bless their souls, I had this one lovely older gentleman, and he would always say, life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. And I was just like, oh my gosh, because it's so true. So the older we get, the faster our time is going. And that's why it's so important to slow down and enjoy these. I
could make a really bad joke right now, and I'm not.
I was thinking this was going the way of you poop more when you're older, so time speeds up. So maybe I was just thinking this.
I would just say, in life can be pretty shitty at times. At times. At
times.
We're going to move on. Let's move on to the next one. So here's a little bit of speculation. Lego is making a huge announcement on the 6th of November, which is just 4 days away. It's going to be regarding a Black Friday announcement. And, we already know Lego Star Trek Next Generation is coming. That got confirmed on Star Trek Day after at least a year of the rumor mill. But if you recall, the rumor mill always was that this was going to drop on Black Friday, and that there was going to be a special bonus shuttlecraft with Ro Laren. That was the deal. So I'm going to put that out there again. pure speculation, but this announcement is lining up with what has been rumored for a very long time. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that we're finally going to get our Enterprise D and all of the fun cast and then some that they, like I said, Lego only has officially teased Star Trek, but in their tease, it was TNG's transporter and it was Picard as you see him here. So take that.
I love his little bald head.
I love that they're starting with TNG. It would have been so obvious and expected for them to start with Captain Kirk and co. So just the launch of this era makes it all the more special for me, and certainly all the more attractive to buy. Unfortunately, there's my Christmas spending all gone.
Hey,
I have a theory about that. I think it's easier to build out the nacelles of the Enterprise D with Lego than it is the original Enterprise. Just my little theory.
They're flatter, right? So yeah, could be.
Because you build straight up instead of at an angle. So, just saying. Just my speculation there. All right. So, are you guys excited for this? Is anyone going to be like, I'm getting this?
Probably not.
I am.
I can't wait for this. Though I don't do a lot.
I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I'm.
Yeah, I love Lego. All throughout my teenage years, I was into the Lego Pirates was my kind of brand of choice within. And I've seen how expensive all of the Star Wars Lego is. My brother-in-law got was it the Millennium Falcon or the Death Star? One of them. Anyway, it's hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and resist, but I can just imagine, I can see a moment of weakness where I'll just be bored on my phone and it'll whack it on a credit card. But if they do have a little small shuttlecraft roll, Aaron, as you say, I'd get that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's saying that was the rumor mill. That was supposed to be the bonus for the Black Friday thing. So I think I've seen some speculation that this set will cost about $300 US. So whatever that translates to in your world. Maybe
about 150 pounds, I'd say.
Yeah. So
and $5 million in Canada.
All right, let's jump ahead to the next story. I think this is where we start talking about books. So this is news, and this might get Kristin excited here. This actually was just announced this week, so it is news. So there is a new novel called Peacemaker coming, and it's not coming for a while. It's August 4th. In fact, I think we'll be just about headed to STLV when this next novel comes out for DS9. I'll also say it's been a few years since we've had any DS9 novel, but I like this novel because it moves the timeline forward. This is by Una McCormick, so we all know we love her. But in the Peacemakers, it's set 5 years after the end of the Dominion War as Jake Sisko returns to Earth after a long journey around the Gamma Quadrant. So if you want, I can give you the real long synopsis of this book. It's a little lengthy, but it's got a lot more detail. So
quick question. Is Garrick in the book? Is there any mention that Garrick is going to be?
I don't see his name in this synopsis, but it doesn't mean he's not there. Nope, it does involve a trip to Cardassia Prime. So, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. After he gets back, he's in demand. Starfleet intelligence wants to know what he's been up to, wants to know what he has seen in the Gamma Quadrant. Everyone wants a piece of him. He's a little bit of a celebrity. There's rumors about his father and their conduct during the Dominion War. So I think maybe we're going to get some look backs and maybe some, what some of the things that Sisko did during the that were questionable during the Dominion War. So but he ends up in Cardassia Prime for an arts festival, and it's going to progress from there. So I think we're in for a treat with this being an Una McCormick book. I almost guaranteed it's going to be decent. So
correct me if I'm wrong. Any of the more recent novels, with the exception of Strange New Worlds, which is obviously time period, but the rest have all been Picard around the kind of that period. So this I'm concerned that this might undermine the DS9 reset models, which I know that timeline, for want of a better phrase, has been wrapped up in Coda.
Yeah, I think that's what you're going to have to accept.
Special about this time period. I don't want them to ruin it.
Yeah, well, you have to, like I said, Coda's Coda now. We all know where that timeline went. So this is, you know, especially being written by Una, she's very familiar with what's going on in the, you know, the current timeline, or the Paramount era, you know, as we call it. In, you know, the last DS9 novel, if I can remember correctly, I think it was called Revenant, and it was a Dax story. It was like a Dax and Kira story, but it was set during the 7 years, or actually the first 6 years, because it's a Jadzia Dax story. So it was taking place during the TV series. And I think there was a TNG novel also, like that would have been like a season 7 novel. They were dropped like the same week. It was pretty cool. But this is like I said, this is a push beyond the finale of DS9 type of story.
Brilliant.
All right. And you can go to the next one. This is our most imminent novel. This is Identity Theft by Greg Cox, who also writes a lot of, I believe Greg writes a lot of original series type novels. This one is actually out very soon. It's actually 1 month from today, December 2nd. Identity Theft. This all-new Star Trek novel celebrates the 60th anniversary of Star Trek, the original series, continuing the legacy of Captain James T. Kirk and the crew of the USS Enterprise. I mean, how generic is that?
It could be anything.
So what I can tell you is I'm just going to give you this is a Chekhov story for the most part. And it's going to jump between two timelines, 2269 and 2289. So it's going to be some things that happened with the TOS TV series era, and then some things that are taking place you know, in the movie era. And I believe the 2289 is somewhere between Star Trek's 5 and 6, if I'm being a good timeline junkie here. But you know, Chekhov doesn't excite me that much. I'm not saying I'm totally excited about this book. I will end up reading it, I'm sure. But the last Star Trek original series novel was actually set in 3 time periods. Yeah. It was set, you know, and it jumped all, you know, and it was one of these flashback, flash forward, flash now. And I kind of just like a story to be here.
Was that the Gillian Taylor one?
Yeah.
That was the Gillian Taylor one. Yes. Yeah.
I find that because sometimes it's really hard to just keep track. Like, where am I?
Yeah.
What is
At least
happening?
This one only has 2.
Yeah, phew. But Greg Cox is probably one of my favorite Trek authors, so this really excites me.
Yeah, he's in there, and he's in the top for sure, as far as probably the most utilized authors to write Trek novels currently. So I'm excited about it. You know, this also, we have to remember we're in our Star Trek lull. This will maybe, you know, Con ends tomorrow for those of you who are following the audio podcast. It's the last issue. So this book will kind of bridge us through the holidays until we get to Starfleet Academy, I think January 16th. So yeah, there you go. That's the way to look at it, is how to keep your current Trek fix going. All right. Okay, I got one more hardback to talk about. And I know Kristin mentioned this, but there is a full synopsis for this book. And I don't know that a lot of people know that snuck out. I found it on accident when I was researching the Peacemakers one the other day.
I have not. I'm very excited to hear this.
So I'll read it because I think everyone's going to like this. Because so 2401 is our year, which is right where we ended Picard. So just weeks after a devastating joint attack by rogue changelings and remnants of the Borg Collective, Starfleet and the Federation face a long period of recovery that requires replacing lost personnel and ships. While touring the USS Titan A, which is just beginning an extensive repair and refit process that will take nearly a year to complete, newly promoted Captain 7 of 9 and her first officer, Commander Rafi Musiker, experience a bizarre temporal event which renders them both unconscious and sends 7 into a deep coma. In the aftermath of this inexplicable attack, Admirals Jean-Luc Picard and Beverly Crusher are surprised by the appearance of Crusher's son, Wesley. Now a traveler capable of traversing through all of space and time, he warns them that Forces he cannot identify are working to disrupt time for unknown and potentially catastrophic reasons. Reality as they know it is in jeopardy, and despite their initial best efforts, the efforts are not contained, but instead continue to escalate. Picard, Crusher, and Musiker join Wesley in hunting through time to stop whoever or whatever seems to be hell-bent on rewriting history. But whatever is their unknown adversary's ultimate objective, left unchecked, their efforts might well erase from the existence those Picard and his friends hold most dear. What could justify attempting to defy fate itself? Sorry.
Wow. So,
but that got me excited.
When I remember watching season 2 of Prodigy and Wesley Crusher came into it, I was reminded of Wesley Crusher in the Coda book series with what was happening with the Davidians. And that, what you've just read, sounds very similar in itself. So it's almost, I'm really excited, but it's how much is that going to tie into Wesley from Prodigy? Like what we've seen, what, where is it? So I have a lot of questions there.
Yeah, that's a little bit of my red flag. Is it does sound like a little bit about what we had to deal with in the in Prodigy for Wesley. But I do like that they're playing it really right. They're taking that, there is a little bit of a 1-year jump during that coda at the end of Picard. And, there's that break where, it ends and then it's a year later and they're launching the Enterprise G and it's, been fixed. So this is a little gap story in that 1 year there. And, we get Wesley and then Picard, Crusher, and Raffi. Okay, I'll take that team up.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, exciting. And my last little book here is something that's already available. And the reason I just bring this up is that these coffee table books have been fantastic. This is for Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, making of the classic film. And these are really great, coffee table books. They go deep into the production of it. If you want to jump forward a slider and then the one after that, when you get a chance, these are just some illustrations from the book. This book has promised to have never before seen production illustrations and stories inside of it. And it has a foreword by Robin Curtis. And last time I checked, it was about 40% off on Amazon right now. So just throwing that out. At the time I took those screenshots, let's just say it was.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm curious for people who are joining us in the chat, which of those books are you looking forward to reading? What are your thoughts on some of them? We can bring in Lex and Ben to ask them. And while we do that, just a couple of shout outs. We've got Dave A. Gregg saying hi to everyone. So hi, Dave. Thank you for joining us. And also, long time no see, Rashid is with us today. So lovely to see you, Rashid.
Hey, Rashid.
Hi, Rashid.
Hi.
So, guys, anything from the news that you're keen to get your hands on? What about you, Lex?
I've been waiting forever for the Star Trek Legos. I have a horrible Lego addiction. In fact, I just kicked it. I thought I had kicked it. I even just sold a collectible on eBay, and yeah, I had kicked it, and I also, kicked my consumerism addiction and all these things, and now this comes out. So I just
be strong.
That's the way it goes, right? I had to let go of the Lego. It's you have to let it go to bring it into your life. So maybe that's what happened. I'm really excited. I've always been jealous of the Star Wars fans because they got all the Lego sets, and like they got the Death Star. I want a Borg cube.
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect for Lego.
That'd be easy to build.
Just take a couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's if you break it, it self-replicates.
There we go. Perfect. I always found, actually, Lex, picking up from that, I've always found Star Wars has had better merch than Star Trek.
Oh yeah, totally.
So I like that there's some catch up here. So yeah,
we're due.
We are. Ben, how about you? What did you see that you liked?
Actually, right about 10 minutes before we started today, I saw someone post online that images of the Enterprise D and the Type 15 shuttle pod leaked by Lego South Korea. I think,
Ooh.
yeah. So it seems that the rumors are true as to what we'll be getting. But I'm
You heard it here
just
first.
starting. What's that?
I said you heard it here first.
Heard it here first. Spoiler alert. So I've just very recently started getting into the novels, and I've read a Greg Cox, and I'm reading The Last Best Hope, which is an Una McCormick
Great one.
right now. So I'm looking forward to those. Although the last one with Wesley sounds remarkably similar to the plot of Prodigy season 2. Wesley the Traveler coming to fix a like predatory entity that's attacking the timeline. Like, did we not do that already? So it'll be interesting to see if it's a retread, if it's a continuation of the same story, or if it's completely new.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you all. Christos, thank you for stepping in today and doing some research for us. And we will see you all a little bit later in the show. Okay, we have some comments here. So Crazy Ashy Cool says he's looking forward to the Picard novel. He's not happy about Seven being in a coma. She's his favorite, and I want to see her in action. That's a really good point. That might be a great tactic to not actually give too much away about the character, but draw us in by saying it's set in the period of Captain Seven. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Kristin?
I don't know. Unless they do some sort of, are they going to give us little sort of soliloquies or something into what's going on in Seven's head while she's in the coma? Is she aware of what's going on around her? Does she have something sort of percolating? Or is it literally we're just going to hear people talk about Seven being in a coma? Because if that's the way, if I don't get a Seven fill, I don't know. It's going to be really hard to hold my attention if she's not an active character throughout the entirety of the book.
And she can't be even having a great time at Unimatrix Zero while she's unconscious there, since that got ruined. We have Sean is saying about the the Khan finale tomorrow. Are you up to date with that, Kristin?
I am not. I'm a couple episodes behind, so I
won't go there with anything then. We will save that discussion for when it's complete, because I am interested to hear your overall conclusion of how close it is to the Khan book.
Yeah, it's done not bad. So I too am wondering how it's going to wrap up. And again, though, I'll just say I've loved this reprieve of the Khan character. I think who they cast was absolutely fabulous. So I've really been impressed with this.
Interesting. Okay, what's next?
So yes, next we have introducing Lex Rosa, who is the host of Transformational Journeys. Hello, Lex.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Viewscreen.
Great to be back.
Welcome back. What's been going on with you since we last saw you?
Well, just yesterday, I released the 10th episode of Transformational Journeys. So I'm really proud of that. I think I started this, I think it was like in February, March of this year. And I remember the first couple episodes were such a slog. I didn't think I would get to 10 by now, but here I am. So I'm really excited about that.
In what way was that? Was that the editing process, or the finding, or everything, or the efforts that go into producing a podcast?
It's definitely the editing and the effort. So, I've talked to a lot of people that do podcasts, and this is a common struggle where when you start out, you kind of have this sort of productive procrastination. I don't know if you had this with the Viewscreen, but you spend a lot of time trying to polish and try to get everything perfect for the first release, and it just doesn't get out the door. And then you kind of start doing that with the second one. And then after a while, I kind of just realized, you know what? This show is about authenticity. So why am I trying to polish it?
We just throw this out there and hope for the best.
And you know what? Sometimes that's the most enjoyable content, is when you actually get to see that authenticity. You get to see the raw. We see so much polished stuff everywhere. It's boring now.
Yeah. And what I realized was that I was trying to anticipate how it should be or what it should be. And I learned partway through that the content kind of produces itself. I let people tell these stories, and I experimented recently with having intro trailers that kind of show the highlight moments, why you should listen, because sometimes it's not clear why the story is compelling. I would love to share. I uploaded some clips of that. And I think we give a good sense of what the show is about. There's two intros. One is Andrew Miner, a good friend of mine from many years back, that had a story about leaving his career, coming out at in his, I think, 40s, while married to a woman. And then the other one was Tiffany, who I was introduced through a common friend, and she also has some amazing stories as well. Can we share that?
Yeah, let's play the TJ intros.
I came out to my son even before I came out to myself. I found myself saying things and explaining things about my life experience that I had not thought about before. So the very first time I was hearing it in my own head was as it was coming out of my mouth, talking to my son.
Wow.
I came to realize that I'm probably on the autism spectrum. And one of the things that comes with that is it's not easy to connect with other people, but that doesn't make you less lonely when you're not able to. I feel like coming out was one of those unlocking experiences. You suddenly realize that there are parts of you that are hidden away that you weren't aware of before, but now you know there are hidden compartments, and that changes your brain forever. It required turning my back on the whole lifetime of pursuing this one activity and finding a different way to think about who I am and how do I relate to the universe. I quit a job that I was employed at, and they wanted me to stay, and I was like, sorry, I can't do that.
What's an example where you had a rejection and it was hard to swallow?
My mother hasn't accepted my pregnancy, and that's been
goodness,
really, really
sorry.
tough. When all of this started, I couldn't do the stillness. All that stuff that I was going through was just too much for me to have silence. I needed some type of hand holding, and Slipknot and Manson just happened to be it.
Yeah. I love that.
We're all human.
Yeah.
We're capable of the best of the worst of the worst. And that's why we can't demonize or judge others.
Your process for staying in your authenticity is seeing rejection as redirection.
Absolutely. It is. And it's hard. It still hurts. I saw my mother as very emotional and out of control. And I saw my father's stoicism as strength. And any emotion I felt, I wanted it to be anger because I thought that was more powerful.
Wow.
Isn't it
Wow.
just amazing? Like the stories that people have just grab me. And every time I rewatch these episodes, it's just amazing.
I think it's so wonderful to have people who come out and say the things that maybe traditionally we weren't supposed to say. We weren't supposed to talk about these. And I think what that led to was so many people trying to suppress parts of themselves that were important.
Yep.
And what has that led us to? It's led us to anger, divisiveness, mental health problems, all of that, where if you're not hurting or offending other people, be yourself.
Totally.
Let yourself and your true desires just come out. So I love that you're giving a platform for people to exercise this authenticity as well, because sometimes people don't know where or how to actually verbalize the things that are important to them.
Yeah, one of the reasons I did this is I learned through my own journey that the root of a lot of mental health issues that I've run into and other people have run into is a disconnection from oneself. And so most of the time, the cure is just being honest with yourself and then being honest with the people around you. And that's what authenticity really is. It's about truth and honesty.
Tell us a little more, what do you mean by a disconnection from yourself? How does that manifest? How, what does it take for that to become realized by yourself, for you to become authentic?
Yeah, I'll use one of the examples from my lived experience, and the one that Andrew had as well, which is coming out of the closet. A lot of people in the LGBTQ plus community have it's a burden that we have to come out of the closet, but it is also a benefit or a wonderful gift, because it teaches us that if we move towards ourselves, we can have a better, more fulfilling life. And so for a lot of us, it starts to lead to other questions. Like with Andrew, it started to like, wait, I might also be neurodivergent. Like, what else about me have I not realized and not connected with and not accepted and lean into that I should? And you can think about how not doing that can lead to some bad mental health outcomes and poor life outcomes as well.
Yeah.
So you've on episode 10, did you say now? So you've got quite a few episodes out there, and there's a whole variety of people on your show. A particular favorite of mine is our good friend Ria Papagiorgio,
Yes,
whose transformational journey was a complete changing career. So sometimes these transformations people go through to become authentic might not be as earth-shattering as kind of coming out of the closet. It could be a redirect of your career as a path towards happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's what I love about her story too is that she had to, and this is a common thread across these, is bucking societal expectations, like saying, I need to because that's usually what keeps us disconnected from ourselves. We're trying to meet some set of expectations. In her case, society is always saying that's a man's job. That's a man's job. And she's like, no, I want to do that. And you're not going to stop me just because I'm a woman. Right. And in fact, I'm going to pack everything up and sell everything I have and move across the country to do it, because it's what's authentic to her. Once you connect with that authentic side of yourself, you kind of become unstoppable. Like you can just, do anything and let go of whatever you need to let go of to chase whatever it is. There was this one episode where we talked about, it was with Jamie Meyer. She talked about how she realized one day that she needed to stop being a set of expectations. And that line just kind of like really just blew my mind in that moment, because I realized how often are we just a set of expectations rather than just being ourselves.
Yeah. So you've done 10 episodes now. Do you have more guests on like your queue ready to go for another set of episodes?
Yeah, well, I'm just going to do a quick pitch for the one that I just released yesterday, which was Dr. Ron Anbar, and we explore how to connect with the subconscious mind.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Is clear what that is and how to connect with it, right? Like, we're connecting with it constantly. But if you think about the subconscious mind, I'm not thinking about these words coming out of my mouth. They're just coming out of my mouth, right?
Yeah.
That's not my conscious mind. My conscious mind is giving me permission to do this, but the subconscious is what is driving a lot of our behavior, and also has a deeper understanding of who we are and what we need. And so Dr. Ron stumbled across, he's a medical doctor, and he stumbled across hypnosis as a means to treat his patients. And we talk about how, hypnosis can also be a path to connect with your subconscious and stay true to yourself. And then I have another episode coming up I'm really excited about, where we talk about my friend Jake that I worked with. He just published a book, and is working on another one. But the story with Jake is that growing up, unfortunately, he had to go through conversion.
Oh no.
Yeah, and and then when he gets out into the world, he has this career working at Amazon that's successful, but he's struggling to find connection with what really matters to him. And he ended up leaving that and moving to the UK, and now is an author and thriving. And so we kind of talk about how his resilience coming out of that trauma from his childhood, and how unfortunate it was, his resilience through it has helped him become stronger and be capable of doing what he's doing now.
Wow.
Amazing.
You know, you really don't understand sometimes what so many of us are dealing with when you pass somebody on the street, realizing that they're just as a complex and, you know, torn person that you could be, and that they're trying to fit into all of these. And, you know, how we see that struggle come out for each person is so unique. So again, Lex, thank you for seeing this and seeing the need for allowing people to talk about themselves. So
we have a viewer comment coming in all the way from Mexico.
let's go.
Saying, I have found being authentic much easier as I get older. It seems easier somehow. From a Miss Amy Nelson. Never heard of her.
Hey, Amy.
She's new to the show, I think. But
Yeah.
you know what? Isn't that so true? Right? And I wonder what that is.
Yeah,
So-
well, I think part of it has to do with, there's some research that shows that women, and I don't know if, you know, I don't think they broke this study up by cis or trans, or just women tend to reach emotional maturity around like 28, and men we tend to reach it around 40. And I personally was able to hit this point of being able to focus on being authentic around my 40s. And so I think there's a connection there. Again, going back to the beginning of this conversation, I was talking about connecting with yourself. Well, if you think about who you are at your core, we are not thinking machines that happen to feel. We're not data with an emotion chip. We are feeling machines that happen to think.
Yes.
We are feeling machines with a data chip, right? So when we can connect with that emotional side of ourselves, then we can start to connect with who we are authentically, and then that can come through. The other part I've observed from the conversations is that we spend so much of our childhood, a lot of the people I've spoken to, a lot of this conditioning comes from childhood. Conformity, you need to conform to fit into school, you need to conform to be cared for by your parents, because if you don't and you're rejected by your parents, that's not going to happen in modern times, but in ancient times, it's like if we didn't keep our parents happy, we would be out and we're not going to survive, right? So so that's where I think a lot of that comes from. Once we hit a point in our lives where we are able to sustain ourselves, be self-sufficient, it feels safer to be ourselves.
It does, which is one reason too why those whose main transformation towards authenticity is leaving behind a good career to go to what they really want with no security. In this world, that's what keeps a roof over our head and food on our table is money. So to know that you are risking that level of basic survival security, my hat's off to them. I would never have the chutzpah to actually do that.
It's oftentimes it's not just survival that keeps people from doing it. Most of the time, what I've seen in talking to people is that it is fear of losing the status, the identity that comes with the career that they currently have, right? So we kind of wrap our identity around our career or our relationships. And so it becomes important to figure out who you are at your core, because when you can connect with that identity at your core, then you can pivot to the career and the relationships that work for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
So
it's actually a good segue if we have time. As I was doing this podcast, I identified that I wasn't getting enough feedback for me to feel like I'm able to improve. And so I started, so my background, I work in tech and I used to be a software developer and I work in AI. So I started to develop a tool that analyzes my podcast episodes and gives me feedback, and I'm developing it so that any podcast host can use it. And so if you're interested, I've got a video on that.
Yeah, if we can play that video, please.
Hey there, I just wanted to give you a preview on something that I've been working on that I'm super excited about. It's called the Authenticity Copilot. And this was born out of my desire to work on my podcast hosting skills by getting real-time feedback. And so I built a tool to analyze episodes in a podcast and then provide feedback on how you can improve your ability to be a better listener, host, and create a safe space for your guests to engage and co-create with you. So this is an example of a report at the podcast level, a channel level report that is giving feedback on my podcast, Transformational Journeys. It's giving me immediate feedback on how I can improve my next episode by highlighting what my strengths are, in this case, bringing meaningful exploration to conversations, and then my biggest opportunity area, which is questioning missing chances to unlock deeper insights, and then some tips on how I can do that, suggestions on how I can change my prompts from what happened to what did that mean for you, etc. More detailed action plans on what to keep doing and then what to work on improving for the next episode. Longitudinal performance so that I can identify spikes in my performance as well as places where things are starting to move downward, like my content accessibility and clarity, which is on the downward slope. And then from there, detailed overall strengths and growth areas, as well as action plans to address those. And then the ability to dive deep into feedback on specific episodes. In this case, this is for an episode where I interviewed Jamie Meyer, and then it gives me some tips on how to improve based on that. So lots of helpful feedback and action plans that will hopefully help podcasters get better at their craft more quickly in real time. And as a result, hopefully more high quality podcasts in the wild for everyone else to consume. So if this is interesting to you and you are a podcaster and you would like to try it out, please reach out to me. And I would love to have you participate in the beta when I launch in a couple of months. And if you're not a podcaster, but you know a podcaster who might find this useful, please let them know.
Brilliant. Wow. Well, let's bring a couple more podcasters in to hear about that. Let's bring Christos and Ben back on, see what they thought. Christos, are you going to be putting What's the T-Bev through AI and getting loads of feedback?
I mean, I'm open to it. It's kind of funny. I've always said, after being podcasting now about 5 years, some periods more heavier than others, that it's made me much better professional at work. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problems whatsoever now getting up in front of a group of 500 people and giving a presentation now. Yeah. And I think podcasting helped get me there. I think it just got me more comfortable and loosened up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. You know, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this is that confidence comes from doing something and then getting better at it and then seeing the progress that you're making over time. And so if you're not recording that progress over time, sometimes your brain doesn't register the progress. Sometimes your brain just looks at all the mistakes and the problems and the hiccups. And so, you know, hopefully a tool like this can help show, like, look at this progress that you're making and also give you a path forward in the areas that you might need to improve in. It's funny you mentioned about career. I've actually had a couple of job opportunities pop up just because they've seen my podcasts, you know, so it's like, it really is an amazing jumping point, not just to connect with people that you wouldn't have considered, but it's also a good way to develop some professional skills and connections.
Definitely. I mean, one thing that I do believe with a lot of technology is it's actually made us worse communicators, especially when it comes to verbalizing and holding eye contact. But podcasting is a little different because they are about conversations. They are about that human connection. So I absolutely love this. And Amy has come in the chat saying, I can see this used in school counseling as well. That is an amazing, because Amy, I can totally see how this could be used to help not only counselors become better counselors, but can this also be used to help students who are dealing with confidence issues learn how to become better as well?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's amazing. There's a lot of controversy around AI, and there's any technology is going to have a dark side and negative consequences. And so this is my attempt to leverage this technology to help us get better at connecting with each other. I agree with you. Podcasting is one of those great things because it helps us connect with each other, gives us reasons to connect and ways to connect. And I'm hoping that my tool can help improve that.
What about you, Ben? Any AI feedback coming your way?
Sounds like a fantastic tool. I just got back earlier this week from a work conference where the theme was AI. I'm just starting to take my own baby steps into using AI, but just yesterday I fed a PowerPoint presentation that I had to give for work into an AI and asked it to prepare a script. So I'm not reading off the slides. There's nothing worse than going to a presentation where someone just reads you the PowerPoint.
That's right.
And it's something that I do quarterly, and I normally spend almost a whole day putting together what I want to say about the presentation that I put together. And this spit out not a perfect, but a pretty good framework that saved me a lot of time, and I think actually did make the information that was being presented visually easier to digest for the audience, because it did a great job of organizing and simplifying the information in a way that helped me present it better.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's another example of where AI can democratize access to things that wouldn't otherwise be accessible. If you think about, if you have a ton of resources and a ton of people working for you, you could just hand this off to an assistant or somebody else to do that, what you just described, creating the script and all of that. But many of us don't have access to that. And so AI gives us access to that so that we can up level and have bigger impact than we could have otherwise. And so I love that story that you shared.
Yeah, I've been using...
I have an AI training day at work this week. So yes, it's doing the rounds of all the companies, it seems.
Yeah, there's lots of great ways you can use AI in the professional world. I mean, I take all my meeting notes and I just throw it in the chat GPT, and it'll summarize it and my action items and give that back to me kind of ready to go. So it's not really cheating as much as it is just helping organize your thoughts. And then if you need to share those notes, you don't spend all day worrying about making it perfect. And that's another thing you can do with Chat GPT. You can kind of create your own digital doppelganger and start training it to speak in your voice. But I agree with what Lex was saying there. You have to look at everything that comes out. I say you should look at Chat GPT as 80 to 85%, and then the human touch needs to take up that extra 15 to 20 to put that zhuzh on it and make sure things are correct and it's really what you want to say.
Yeah, it doesn't have common sense. It doesn't have a point of view. It's not actually even thinking. It's just a predictive model. It's predicting, given what you've shared with it, here's what should come out. Given this set of notes, here's the summary that should come out. Given your question, here's the response. And that's why sometimes it's wrong. It doesn't even know that it's wrong until you tell it it's wrong. And you could even tell it it's wrong when it's right, and it'll still be like, oh yeah, of course I'm wrong, because it doesn't have a sense of knowledge or understanding. It's just regurgitating information. So I think that's an important, and that's the big area of caution I would give people, is that you can get this sense that it has authority because it speaks with authority, but do not outsource your thinking to it. Do not outsource your creativity to it. Do not outsource your inner understanding. There's a lot of people that are using it for mental health, and I think that's great because it makes that sort of support accessible. Right. Again, because like a lot of people can't afford to hire a therapist. But again, like you need to make sure that you're not, you don't want to ask ChatGPT, what's authentic about me, or what do I want, or what's best for me. Like don't outsource your authenticity to it, but you can use it to help you find a path towards finding your own authenticity.
Well, it's so interesting, Kelvin, that you say that you're having a training at work on AI, because Lex, picking up on what you just said about how it can really people are using it sort of to go in the wrong direction. My work very quickly put into place a policy about no AI is allowed in our job.
Wow.
Period. Where, because we work with people who have disabilities. And so, you know, how AI will interpret that work could be quite dangerous, because what that says versus what we need to see actually boots on the ground to provide the support will never be the same. So any proposal that we have come through, we run through like an AI detector. And if it shows that there's a large presence of AI being used, they are deemed ineligible. So,
yeah, it's interesting. That's a good example where I'm not a big fan of heavy-handed policies that say you must do this or you must not do that. But I think in this case where people's health is at stake, I can see where that's a smart path to go.
I'd be keen to see if that policy is in place in the next 5 or 10 years. I wonder if that is just a reaction to AI as new, unknown tech.
Well, like when we say, how would you support somebody who has extreme medical and developmental disabilities, right? And what we want to hear is what they've done in the past, how they have done this through their agency in the past to support the most vulnerable of society's members. And when they put that through AI, and AI is like, well, here's what you should do. That's taking away from what they've actually done, where they've seen growth, where they've seen themselves get better. So it's kind of the same thing. You know, I want the authentic journey that these service providers have done to provide this support, right? So if they're cheating for millions of dollars, I don't like it.
Yeah, because in that situation, you're talking about them replacing their own authentic story by one that's fabricated by AI, and that makes sense.
Exactly. And I think we can see that on just a personal level too, where we see a lot of people using AI to cover up their flaws, to, you know, and all that does is further separate us from our authenticity.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because that's one of the reasons why I did the podcast on authenticity, is because I see a direction we're going in where more and more content is being created by AI, which is concerning, but at the same time, it means that content that is authentic now starts to become more and more valuable.
100%. 100%. And that's where people like you will never be replaceable.
Well, good luck with the new platform there, Lex. And for anyone who's interested in going back and watching those 10 episodes of Transformational Journeys, where can they find it?
Yeah, right now I'm on YouTube is my main distribution channel, Transformational Journeys, all one word. I need to update Spreaker, but you can get some of the episodes also on the other podcast platforms, via the BQN network.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lex, and we'll see you later on in the show today.
Thanks, everyone. Right, it is time for us to take a very short break, but we will be back with Ben.
Perfect.
Calling all audiophiles and Trekkies. Prepare to boldly go where no podcast listener has gone before with the diverse soundscapes of BQN. We're not just a network, we're a universe of exploration, entertainment, and deep dives into the topics you love. Here's your star map to the sonic adventures awaiting you. Charting the Star Trek cosmos, we have all good things. Embark on a comprehensive journey through the entire Star Trek universe with insightful crew of Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristin. From classic to current, they cover it all. Galaxy Class, Engage. Stephen and Stefan pilots this deep space mission, meticulously covering all aspects of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Infinite Diversity. Stay current with the newest Star Trek frontiers alongside Chrissy and Thad. Union Federation. Whether your allegiances lies with Starfleet or the Planetary Union, Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley offer a unified front discussing both current Star Trek and the truly Trek at heart, the Orville. Crack open that book with Peter and the Trek Book Club podcast. Delve into the rich tapestry of Star Trek's beta canon. What's the T-Bub? Christos spills the latest Trek news and fandom insights with an essential LGBTQIA+ perspective, complete with engaging guest interviews. Our visual voyages that you can find on YouTube, as well as a podcast, our Trexperts quiz. Think you're a Starfleet Academy graduate? Test your knowledge with Davey and MC's challenging Star Trek quiz show. And the Viewscreen. Tune in live on Sundays for your dose of Trek-inspired talk show. Kelvin and Amy host new 8-week seasons each spring and fall. Beyond the final frontier, we have Bargain Bin Gamer. Davey and Mitch, your self-proclaimed gamer guides, lead you to digital treasures, unearthing and reviewing the most affordable video game gems. Cinema Z. Grab your metaphorical popcorn for Mark and Matt's cinematic deep dives, unearthing overlooked films that demand your attention. History with the Zalogans. In order to never repeat it, tune in as Chrissy and Jason deliver bite-sized snippets of historical events from around the globe. And Transformational Journeys. Lex Rosa explores what it means to embrace authenticity in the face of societal expectations. To unlock deeper levels of engagement, try our patron perks. The Hive Mind is where you can join our random script readings, live reaction shows, and roundtable discussions. And check out our back catalog of It's Green, a verdant cornucopia of topics offering diverse and engaging conversations, and Amy's Math Moments. Discover the subtle and not so subtle mathematical wonders woven into the fabric of Star Trek. You can stay connected to our ever-expanding galaxy of content by following at BQN Podcasts on Instagram, Bluesky, YouTube, and Discord. We appreciate you choosing BQN to fill your auditory needs. Thank you for listening. Assimilate the audio.
We are back. Welcome back to the view screen, everyone. And it is time to welcome our final guest of the episode. So please welcome back to the view screen. It's Ben Pickos. How are you, Ben?
Doing well. Thank you for having me today. It's great to see you both.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when we put together our little schedule for the 8 run of the view screen, Amy and I tried to theme as much as we can, and it's a little bit like Star Trek Lego trying to get 2 guests to agree to the same date that share the theme. So we've gone with body and mind for this week, with obviously Lex going through all of the wellness, the authenticity there, and I thought, who do I know who's really sporty, who's gonna be able to talk about their own sporting likes and also sport in Star Trek as well? And you came straight to mind, Ben. So I don't know if it's what is it about being such an outdoorsy person out there doing sport, that what do you get from it?
Well, let me tell you first how I never in a million years would have imagined that I'd be invited anywhere to talk about anything related to being sporty, athletic, outdoorsy. Sporty Spice is about what I perceive as my expertise in the world of sports. But within the last 10 years or so, I've gotten more involved in competitive running and triathlon. And a lot of that is thanks to Ronnie. For those who don't know, he's my partner of almost 10 years. And he started doing triathlon probably about 10 years before we met. And just, I'm now guilty by association. It's hard to live in the same household with someone who has such a significant interest and not pick it up yourself. So that was sort of my entry point into the world of athleticism.
Wow. So, but did you have that natural competitiveness that came out in other areas before competing in sports?
All right. So I'll tell you what got me into my very first significant amount of athletic training. And it wasn't competition in the sense of the event. So I was in law school, and there was a guy that I was interested in who was training for a marathon. And this was a marathon very far away. It was not anything I would ever consider signing up for. But he would invite me to go along on his training runs. And I have zero experience. I had done maybe a handful of 5Ks in my entire life. But me being very interested in gung-ho in this, I say, yes, absolutely, I'll come along. How far are we going today? 8 miles. Sure, let's do it. 12 miles. Yeah, let's go. And finally, we got up to 20 miles.
Wow.
And I wasn't signed up for anything. This was out of the sheer kind of sad desperation to spend time with someone that I was interested in, that I said, you know what? That's several hours of uninterrupted one-on-one time. So yeah, let's go out and run 20 miles.
I mean, this brings chasing after a guy to new limits, really.
It truly does. I'm not sure what it says about me, but one thing that it taught me was that I could do this. Yeah. Not only could I do it, but I also found that I enjoyed it. And I was the kid in school who didn't get picked for any of the PE sports. Anything involving a racket or a ball or a club or any sort of team sport, not my bag. Hand-eye coordination, not among my skills. But with running, and the same with swimming and cycling, which make up the other 2 sports in triathlon, all you've got to do is just keep going. Mm-hmm. You just push play and go till either you cross the finish line or you can't go anymore. And I realized that was more in my wheelhouse.
Brilliant. Well, I until thinking of inviting you on to do this segment, didn't actually spend much time thinking about sport in Star Trek, because it's not really something you associate. You think of the science, the pew pew pew, the politics, the relationships, and then actually there is quite a lot of sport references throughout. So Ben, you've done a little bit of an exercise to pull some of that together. So yeah, I wonder if we can share your slides there and talk through some of them.
Yes, let's do it. I see here we have a picture of a podium finish of mine fairly recently. This was over the summer. I think this might have been in September, and this was at a local triathlon that we participate in each year. And this was, I think, the very first time in the 8 to 9 years that I've been doing this race that I've made the podium. So I was very, very excited, and I've still got my stash that I was sporting over the summer in this picture. So I'll always associate that with this time period too.
It's a high quality stash, I must say.
It's like Sam Kirk's on the podium.
Question about the gentleman on number 2 there. Had he changed before this photo was taken, or did he run his triathlon in those shorts?
That's a great question, and I'm 99% sure that he did change between the end of the event and when the picture was taken. There was maybe an hour in between, and sometimes people just want to get out of the sweaty, gross clothes that they did the race in. But no, I don't believe he was out there in what you see in the picture.
Okay, because if he had, then even more props to him, because I can't imagine biking or running any significant amount of time with those baggy shorts on.
Yeah,
no,
that's the
not
trip
wise.
to the grocery store outfit, that one, isn't it? It's not a triathlon look.
Very much, very much.
Well, while we're talking about clothing, Amy Nelson would love to compliment you on your shirt, Ben. For anyone who's not watching, who's listening, then that's this year's 2025 Star Trek The Cruise shirt. So
great color.
Representing.
And thank you, Amy. And I love that this particular year, what is it, 8, I think? Yeah. That it's one of the actual uniform colors. Some years they're just sort of a random off brand color. And this one, I feel like it's more of an official look because it's very close to the Command Red.
Brilliant. Okay, let's get through some of these slides then. Which sport are we starting with first?
All right. So I was also very surprised when I was doing a little dive into sports in Star Trek at just how often it comes up. And there are certain ones that we tend to see repeated. One of these being fencing. And the first instance I can think of with fencing is shirtless Sulu. During the original series, that's one of his hallmark Christmas ornaments is Sulu fencing. And so we see it here. We see instances in Picard. We see, I believe it's Picard and a young Elnor on the Romulan relocation planet. He's teaching Elnor to fence. And so this is, and we see it several times in Next Generation. So I don't know if it just fit Picard's vibe that he would participate in what's thought of as sort of a highbrow, sophisticated kind of sport, but I think it does fit his personality nicely.
And it's also a sport that entails a lot of like thought and having a good approach and what is your, I can't think of the word right now, but you know, it's even used in some plot points in episodes with like him and Guinan talking about, you know, if you lower your foil, you're leaving yourself open to your enemy. So there's a lot of ways to tie something as simple as fencing into bigger conversations about how you approach other difficult situations. So it leaves a lot for the writers to be able to work with too.
That's the brilliant point.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Iborg, isn't it? That one where she's talking about Picard feeling sorry for Hugh, letting your guard down. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, what's next?
All right. I think if I had to pick one single sport that's depicted as consistently and goes as in depth in Star Trek, it's got to be baseball. We see so many instances in Deep Space Nine. Obviously, Take Me Out to the Holosuite. We've got an entire episode devoted to the sport. When Starfleet evacuates the station and the Dominion takes over, the scene where Dukat walks into his old office and sees Sisko's baseball still on the desk. Such a powerful moment. It's a small thing, but he knows exactly what that means. And he explains to Wei-Yun that Sisko is saying, I'll be back. Baseball is also how Sisko and Cassidy Yates make the connection that eventually leads to them becoming married and having a child.
Yep.
Cassidy's brother lives on some far-flung colony world where this extinct sport called baseball is still being played. Sisko hears about it, and they form this instant connection as people, two of the last people in the galaxy that have a shared interest in this activity. So it plays, I think, a very important role that weaves its way throughout Deep Space Nine from really the very beginning. I think we see, I'm trying to think if there's any season 1 references or
we get the fictional baseball player Buck Bokai in
If Wishes Were Horses. Yes. Right. So I think if we had to pick what's the most, or which sport drove the most significant plot points in Star Trek, I would be hard pressed to find one other than baseball.
Yeah.
I think you've said amazing... Oh, sorry,
Kristin.
You go.
I was going to say the fact there is a full episode based around the sport is telling in itself, as your point.
And I was just going to say, also provides the perfect cosplay option. When you don't know what to do and you want people to get excited at your costume, go in a Niners costume.
And they're comfortable.
That too.
Brilliant. Okay, moving on from baseball, what's next? And guys, remember in the chat as well, what are you wanting to see? What's your favorite sports in Star Trek? Get involved.
So Parisi Squares is one of those things sort of like the self-sealing stem bolt in Star Trek that we hear a lot about, but we don't actually learn very much about. I don't know that we ever see Parisi's squares being played, although it's referenced fairly often. This is probably about the closest we ever come to seeing what the court looks like, what the uniforms look like. And this is also, I think, just a great moment for Denise Crosby. It's one of the very few instances during her time as a regular on the series where she gets to do something other than just stand at the horseshoe and say, hailing frequencies open, Captain. So I love this scene for that reason as well. It's also sort of odd to see Michael Dorn in something that makes him look, he's usually so imposing back there, and he just seems sort of slight in this scene in the spandex. But I also love these bags because they were recreated for one of the past Star Trek cruises as one of the swag items.
Yes.
It was the cylindrical light blue bag with the white stripe down the side. So this one gets a special shout out for that reason too.
I think the one thing we know about Parisi Square is it's supposed to be quite violent, right? Like there's a real high probability that you are going to get injured if you don't know what you're doing. Because I think there's one episode, I think it was the Voyager one with the Doctor's family where the daughter, someone was playing Parisi Square and there was something that you're going to get hurt. Yeah. So I think that's the one thing we know is it's not a safe game.
Yeah. And I think that's the second time they've been the children aspect of playing Parisi Squares, because in Future Imperfect, Riker's son, in inverted commas, was also wearing that outfit and said he'd been playing Parisi Squares, and Riker had that paternal wanting to look after him, telling him he's too young to play. So it's interesting that there is this narrative about it being a very dangerous sport, but we've never seen it.
No.
But how great that they've invented this game to drive so much of that plot, and it's a complete unknown.
Yep. Someone needs to write a book about it. Yeah. So Greg Cox, if you're listening, let's write a book about Parisi Squares.
Yeah. Give us some more context, descriptions.
Yeah. Let's go.
Who is Parisi's, and why are his or her squares so important?
The deep questions.
Okay, what's next?
All right, next we have this gym that I just want to go work out in. I mean, there's really no reason for this one other than this is a place that I would probably like to go. And I also do enjoy some weightlifting in the gym myself. And this is just so quintessentially Lower Decks. It's cheeky, literally. It's just a little bit naughty. It's a little bit transgressive, especially for Star Trek. And so as I was doing my Google image search, I just said, this is a sport that I would sign up for.
Yes.
I mean, you could have gone to Enterprise, you could have done Travis Mayweather weightlifting, but you went straight to Lower Decks. And yeah, it's very cheeky, as we can see there.
Yeah, for those who are listening, it is a screenshot of a gym, and it looks like this is a clothing optional gym. So we're seeing a few little cheeks out here on a treadmill and doing some sort of leg lift. I'm guessing that looks like a leg, and is that a...
That looks like a hamstring exercise.
That's my least favorite.
Prone leg curl.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
What's not to like?
I mean, I am going into health and safety mode a little bit now. I can't help myself. So, accidents in the workplace, there's no protective code. And also, what are those kettlebells just doing on the floor there? Get them back on the rack.
That is a tripping hazard. And for me, I have a real problem with people who don't wear shoes in the gym. When they're like, oh, it helps me ground better. I'm like, no, then do this at home. Yeah. But this is a public place. It's not safe for you to just be out here with no shoes on. That's kind of... Ugh.
It's unhygienic.
It's very unhygienic and not safe. If you step on something, you could hurt yourself.
Well, I'll report back to you about how this gym was, and I'll let you know.
See, like if they want to be nude everywhere else, have at her, but put on some shoes. Yeah. Just put on some shoes.
This looks like a Sitches gym.
It does.
Okay, swiftly moving on. Brilliant. Great choice. What's this?
All right. So this is one of the few instances where we see Janeway in an athletic setting, other than hunting the macro virus, where she also gets very physically engaged with the episode. But Velocity is target shooting, I think, at its most basic, and I think it provides a great vehicle to tell the story between Seven and Janeway in this episode, because the rivalry between them and Seven's not her unwillingness to listen and take Janeway's advice to just be a good sport. And then I think by the end of the episode, I think that's how they end, is they're back in the holodeck playing Velocity, and Seven's a little more amenable to Janeway's mentorship and influence by that point. But I also love this because we get to see a little bit more of Seven's her implants. We don't normally get to see how the left hand connects to the forearm, and we get to see the one on the right shoulder as well.
So would this be the same sport that they show a couple of times in TNG? There's the one where Guinan is talking to Worf and she's like, oh, I can come down a couple levels. Is that supposed to be the same sport?
Yeah.
Do they name it in TNG?
I don't know. I think this one's maybe a little more physical because they're running and diving, and Janeway's got her sweat towel. But holodeck phaser range, love it. Here for it.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in that there are games that you play with your phaser. It seems again going back into safety mode. It seems more than target practice. This, I believe, if I remember the episodes correctly, the aim is to shoot the moving target so that it impacts the other player.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. There's some element of that, I think.
Okay, moving on.
Curling.
This is another one that we see repeatedly. We have racquetball in Deep Space Nine. I was going back and forth between this and darts for Bashir and Chief O'Brien, but darts, is it a sport? Is it a bar game? I thought this was probably the sportier sport of the two, but we get to see their relationship flourish. And when they start, they're more frenemies. And then we see the relationship blossom over time. And I think the racquetball scenes just give us little snippets into that over the course of the series, where we get to see them become much better friends, and one of the most iconic bromances in all of Star Trek.
Love a good bromance. Also, I love the extreme differences between the two workout gears, right? You've got Dr. Bashir in the very, obviously, issued workout with a little stripe, and then O'Brien, very true to form as an Irishman, just showing up in his shorts and his polo shirt. Perfect. It's perfect.
I'm curious. Is racquetball as a name, is this kind of a UK English, US English thing? Because we don't really say racquetball. Obviously, we've got tennis and we have squash. So I'm curious if squash and racquetball are the same sport. I don't know.
I think that's what this is supposed to be, because squash is the one where you the ball goes against the wall, right? And I think that's what this was more like. I don't think this was very tennis-esque.
And we call this racquetball here in the States.
Yeah.
So I grew up thinking racquetball was a Star Trek game. I didn't know, because we don't have it. We've got tennis and squash.
Well, I think this is a little bit tweaked, because they're aiming for the targets on the wall, and I don't think that exists in real life racquetball.
Right.
So we'll say this is the 24th century evolution
Exactly.
of the current game.
I think it shows it's a great example of how things that we have now are still going to be around. It's just they're going to take a slightly different form.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
The evolution of the sport. And next.
Oh.
All right. I saved my best and favorite for last. And running appears from time to time throughout Star Trek. Not the most prevalent by any means, but we do know that Picard was the first freshman to ever win the Starfleet Academy Marathon. We see in Basics Part 2, I believe, B'Elanna says that she was on the Academy track team and volunteers when they need fast crew members to serve as a diversion to get the inhabitants of the planet someplace else. Mm-hmm. And then I think Discovery is probably the series where we see the sport of running depicted the most frequently. What comes to mind for me, in addition to this scene, is when Tilly and the other cadets are doing a half marathon, running laps around the saucer section, and she wins. Mm. And not only is running, one of my favorite athletic activities in real life, but I love that Tilly was the character chosen to be depicted as being good at that. In media, I think so often there is one version of what athletic people are depicted as looking like. And that's completely not real life. And I think particularly with running, with triathlon, you absolutely can't judge a book by its cover. Mary Wiseman has a very normal, natural human body that many, many, many people have. And because we're so conditioned to think of an athlete as looking how we see them depicted on TV and in movies, that we would count someone that looks like Mary Wiseman out as being an athlete. And I know people personally who look very much like Mary or Tilly, however you want to refer to her. And they're incredible endurance athletes, many of whom can run or cycle circles around me. So I love that she was the character that was selected to be depicted as being a good athlete, because it's true to real life and it helps break down that stereotype that you've got to have a six-pack or be teeny tiny.
Inclusive. Yeah. It shows everyone's invited. Have a go. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, your previous experience. Pick it up, go with it, and be in competition with yourself.
And I think that's one reason I've always enjoyed. I don't read Sports Illustrated at all, but I will always enjoy their body issues, where they show all the leaders of the different sports tastefully nude, and just showing and highlighting what different bodies are within the world of sports, and what a gymnast like Simone Biles will look like versus Alona Verley, who is a rugby player. They are both at the top of their game, but their bodies are completely different, and they're just celebrated nonetheless. And I love that, and I love that is where the detail that you picked up, because I'd never thought of that when watching these scenes. And I will never watch Discovery the same now.
We're so conditioned by social media to be keyed into what we're being fed as the ideal body type is. And just because a body looks a certain way doesn't mean that it's fast, strong, or healthy.
Yep.
And I think it's scenes like this that remind us of that and break that stereotype and really showcase that athletics are for everybody, and that how you look absolutely in no way dictates the ability, the enjoyment that you'll get from it, or your capability.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I believe we've got one last slide. which is your triathlon. Now,
Yay.
I am so happy that I got these in the right order. This is a total fluke. I didn't know that this is the order you do a triathlon. So.
These are in the correct order. You swim first, and then you get on the bike, and then you run last. And I don't remember exactly which race the one on the left was. I don't look particularly happy about what's just happened in that picture. Maybe I'm just out of breath, but whenever it was, it must have been cold because I'm in the wetsuit and I don't normally wear the wetsuit, which I've thought when I eventually retire it, turning it into like a Borg cosplay, maybe painting some green on it and not just throwing it away.
Brilliant.
Then you bike second. That's my least favorite of the three, but I do it because you got to do it. And then I was a runner first, and so that still is the most comfortable for me and my favorite part of a triathlon.
Brilliant. Well, let's bring in two more gentlemen who can often be found in the gym themselves. So yeah, Christos. Christos.
Oh my gosh.
Christos, what's your favorite sport in Star Trek?
Well, I'm gonna go back to Parisi Squares because y'all forgot that they showed it finally in season 2 of Prodigy on the Voyager A holodeck. So we did finally.
I can't even remember that.
So I always liked that was a fully fictional sport, and they, it's been in lore now for 35 plus years. So and honestly, just finally depicted it somewhat. So.
Great sport and great memory check as well. Cool. What about yourself, Lex? How has sport in Star Trek resonated with you?
My favorite Star Trek sport wasn't in the slides. I was like disappointed.
Oh,
it's Alan Moraine. I mean, it's like the most inclusive sport. I think anybody can, young or old, just
All right, we're done. There's nowhere to go from there.
Producer David has got involved as well, and he's saying, don't forget when Riker and his dad were playing sport. I believe, David, you said Parisi Squares. Wasn't that, it was like Ambo Jitsu? But I believe it was similar with the batons and quite a funky look to it, as I remember.
They looked very bulky. The costumes looked like, how are you supposed to swing that thing with all this? It was like
that show American Gladiators.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of looked like.
It did, but it looked like a bulky version of that. Yeah.
I like how in Star Trek they use sports and whatnot in two different ways. I mean, first off, hey, it's a great way to have dialogue while not just having two people look at each other and talk, right? It gives them something to do, so it adds a little context. So whether you're participating in the sport by doing it and you're having that time to talk, or you're actually just it's doing the fandom aspect of it, you're watching it, so now you're having an experience with somebody and you can have the stories progress while showing other things. You also left out the Troy and Beverly exercising aerobics scene too. That's a thing.
Well, I knew you'd bring it up. Christos.
There's another one where they're doing like Tai Chi or something like that. Like
that's Klingon Mokbar.
That one's in Star Trek Acid Party. Has anybody seen Star Trek Acid Party?
No.
Oh, you have to watch it before Paramount takes it down, because they take it down every now and then and it comes back. But basically, they took clips of different Star Trek The Next Generation episodes and strung them together, so it looks like the crew of the Enterprise is going on this long acid trip for an hour, and there's Pink Floyd soundtrack, and it's epic.
Yeah,
that's really so creative.
Yeah, that's a good call out, Lex. I like Worf's calisthenics programs were something that they showed all the time. Yeah. And then, you would see everybody in the cast kind of in those classes at times. But then we actually saw that at the end of Suspicions, Beverly pulls out some of those moves from the calisthenics class and kind of wins that little scuff on the shuttlecraft. And you kind of see that throughput to having done those classes. So
That's a nuance of Star Trek understanding that only Christos could pick up on.
Where does Beverly get her moves?
Of course.
I'm here all day.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for your research and pulling all that together. It is really, really great to just kind of look at how sport has permeated its way through our beloved franchise. While we've got everyone on screen here, I think this might be a great opportunity to do a little bit of a roundup before we let everyone go as to where people can find you on social media. So, Ben, if people want to continue the conversation with you as our sports expert, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at Gaily Trekking or on Instagram at just type in my first and last name and you'll find me there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ben. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me.
And Lex, where can you be found online?
Yeah, if you want to connect with me personally, you can find me on Instagram at _Lex Rosa. It's right there. And then on YouTube, you can watch my show, Transformational Journeys.
Brilliant. Thank you again for coming back and give us an update. We'll see you soon. All right, Team All Good Things. Christos, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram and Bluesky at What's the T-Bev. I'm over in the BQN, what do we call our thing on Facebook?
Collective.
BQN Collective, sorry. And our Discord server as well. So kind of all around.
Brilliant. Thank you. We'll see you soon. And Kristin, we know you hate social media, but tell us anyway, where can people find you in the few places you keep yourself busy these days?
The few places. Hold on, wrong finger. Pointing right there, trying to get it right. At KStratz, KSTRATZ on Instagram and on Reddit as user Garrick's Fan Club, where you can always find me chiming into some sort of Trek post, or every now and then you'll see somebody make a Trek reference in comments on a post that is not Trek related at all. That's like Christmas. It's so exciting to see a Trek reference in the wild. So that's my favorite place. And Kelvin, where can people find you?
I can be found on most of the socials at Kelvin's Timeline, or also in the BQN Collective Facebook group, where I'll see all your posts, comment on your memes, and we just have a lot of fun over there.
Perfect. What a fantastic show today. I'm feeling revived, mind, body, and soul right now. So I hope others kind of felt the purpose behind today's theme. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming on the show, chiming in the chat. It was lovely to have you. And shall we see what we have in store for next week?
Next week. Well, this is putting a theme together, but we are very happy to be returning. We've got Joe Keegan and we've got Josh Judkins coming back with a little bit of astronomy meets gastronomy.
Ooh.
See what I've done there? So Joe's going to be causing chaos in the kitchen, and Josh is going to be telling us to look up to the skies and what's been going on in the cosmos.
Oh, I cannot wait for that.
And of course, Captain on the Bridge, our very own Miss Nelson. Amy will be back with us next week too.
Yes. So I would again like to thank all of our guests for coming on, sharing their gifts, their insights, their skills with us today. Massive thank you to Christos for stepping in for me today. And of course, always our producer, David, for making all the technical magic happen behind the scenes. And to our amazing marketing director, Kit Adzima, for helping our show to be more visible on all the social platforms.
Now, we would love to hear what you thought of today's show, and there's many ways you can do that. You can join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, or you can join our Discord server. You can follow us on Bluesky to continue the discussion over there. You can find all the links and the invite codes in the show notes.
And a huge thank you to our patron members for all of your ongoing support of the network and our shows. You will never hear a commercial or ad from us. So if you'd like to support us or the network, please go over to patreon.com/BQN.
And becoming a patron. If it's not your thing, then you can please support the show just by talking about us with your friends, sharing our posts on the socials, just hitting the like buttons. You know the drill. We really appreciate all of your support.
Yes. So thank you again to all of our guests, our online viewers, and those rewatching or catching up listening to this as a podcast.
And we will be back same time next week. But for now, it's time to end transmission. Thank you. See you later.